Okay, good evening, everyone. August 30th, 2015, broadcasting live. Today we have a story, not just a quote. So what do you say? Well, let's do half each.
Sure.
You can go down to, what then do I need? And then I'll continue.
Okay. In due time, Kisa Gotama became pregnant, and after 10 lunar months, she gave birth to a son. But the child died as soon as he was able to walk. Kisa Gotami had not known death before, and when they came to remove the child's body for cremation, she refused to let them do so, saying to herself, "I will get medicine for my son." Placing the dead child on her hip, she went from house to house pleading, "Do you know a cure for my son?" Everyone said to her, "Woman, you are completely mad in seeking medicine for your son." But she went away thinking, "Truly, I will find someone who knows the right medicine for my son." Now a certain wise man saw her and thought to himself, "I must help her." So he said, "Woman, I do not know if there is a cure for your child, but there is one who will know, and I know him." "Sir, who is it who will know?" "Woman, the Lord will know. Go and ask him." So she went to the Lord, paid reverence to him, stood at one side and asked, "Venerable sir, is it true as people say that you will know a cure for my son?" "Yes, I know."
Sorry, I'm looking at the Pali. What then do I need? A few mustard seeds. I will get them, venerable sir, but in whose house? Get them from a house where no son or daughter or any other person has ever died. Very well, sir. Kisagotami said, Very well, sir, Kisagotami said, and having paid reverence to the Lord and having placed the dead child on her hip, she went to the village and stopped at the very first house. Have you any mustard seeds? They say they will cure my child. They gave her the seeds, and then she asked, Friend, has any son or daughter died in this house? What do you ask, woman? The living are few and the dead are many. Then take back your seeds, for they will not cure my child, she said, and returned the seeds they had given her. In this way she went from house to house, but never did she find one that had the mustard seeds that she needed. Then she thought, "Oh, it is a difficult task that I have. I thought it was only I who had lost a child, but in every village the dead are more than the living." While she reflected thus, her heart, which had trembled, now became still. It's funny, all this talk about death. Today we had a full session in the Visuddhimagga about death, which was funny because this morning that they came to honor a dead person who they had just buried the day before and whose funeral I had gone to the day before. So yesterday I was walking through the graveyard. Graveyards are interesting places. You have so much work goes into them, and it's so full of meaning. You know? Each gravestone means something very important. If you think about it, a gravestone it's got such a story. It's a piece in the puzzle of samsara. But then if you think beyond that, and you think of the Buddha's words that there's nowhere on this earth that we haven't died, or that someone hasn't died. If you think of all of the people who have ever died, the graveyards are only a very, very small portion of those people. It makes you think about how many stories there are out there. How many stories have we lived? How many times have we played this game? How many times have we wept for a child, a parent, a sister, a brother, a loved one? You read the inscriptions. Some of them are 100 years old. all sorts of ideas about what happens when you die. Death is an interesting thing. It's interesting that we have all this talk about death all at once. Kisa Gotami, I guess the idea is she had lived a sheltered life, and so she had never really gotten a sense of not getting her way, really. She was a relative of the Buddha, I think, or belonged to the same clan, and she was royalty, I think, and so probably she always got what she wanted. She was certainly sheltered, and women probably didn't get very good education, so she just didn't understand about what death really meant. And that, coupled with her grief, you know the story. Have you ever seen, there was a movie back in the 80s or 90s called Pet Cemetery, where they bury their child. The lengths people will go to not to get to be reunited with their loved ones. It's a terrible movie. So I don't know. Not much to say. Her mind becomes my heart that had trembled now became still, and then I was just reading what happened next. The Buddha says, when you realize that your son was dead, you realize the duwa dhammo, a certain dhamma, a constant reality. Duwa dhammo esa sattanang. This is a durable, is I guess the English equivalent of duwa, but a constant dhamma of beings. Machurajahi sabasate aparipunna jasaye evam mahogovya parikadamano yeva. Anyway, so and he says that Machuraja takes all beings just like a great flood. Hey, this is in relation to the Dhammapada. It's number 114. Maybe someday we'll get there and we'll actually tell this story. Yo chawasa satang jive apasang amatang padang. Ekahang jivitang seyo pasato amatang padang. Who should live wasa satang 100 years without seeing the path to the deathless. We have this deathless path to the undead, like Stephen King, Pet Cemetery, where they bury this child. First they bury their cat, and the cat comes back to life, but it's gone psychotic. And so then their kid gets run over, their toddler gets run over. And so they bury the toddler, and he comes back as this vicious, murdering creature. And it kills his wife, and so then he buries his wife. And then she comes back. I don't know why I'm talking about just the idea of, because it's a curious word, amatta. Amatta means undead, which is misleading in modern English usage. Not dead. The state of being not dead. But it really means that which never is not subject to death. The path to that which is not subject to death. Better is it to live one day seeing the path to that which is not subject to death.
Brooklyn put a comment that the reading sounds straight out of the New Testament. I was noticing that too. A lot of these, they sound with the use of the word Lord. Is that a normal translation?
Yeah, I was looking that up. It's not Lord. It's probably Blessed One.
Yeah, they do sound kind of New Testament-y.
Well, this actually, yeah, no, actually, he's a fairly new one. Let me see. But it might even be teacher, the word. Where are we? Satta. Why did he use Lord? This Satta means teacher.
Yeah.
How ridiculous. See where Sattar comes from Shas, the root Shas, which is in regards to teaching, no? I don't know why he used teacher, master. A satta is one who has a sasana. It comes from the same root as sasana. Sasana is that which is taught. It's nothing to do with being a lord. Well, reflection on death is something that, as we've said, is beneficial. It's something that, if you think yesterday, going to see these people at the funeral and the sadness and the grief, it's undeniable. So when this idea of preparing ourselves for death doesn't mean just preparing ourselves for our own death. It means becoming a better surfer on the waves of samsara, being able to take life as it comes without getting upset, finding a way to live our lives without being dependent on anything. Anisito javiharati, so that we don't grieve when something happens. I mean, how attached this woman was to her child, I can't even imagine what it's like to lose a child. But nonetheless, it's based on attachment, which we know can be avoided. Not avoided, can be cleansed to the point where one is no longer subject to attachment, no longer gives rise to it. I think it's even worse if you think about it for the person who's passed away. We look at it, we always see the people who are left behind are the ones who have trouble. And what we see is the grieving of those who have lost, right? What about those who have gotten lost? What about those who have left? That's the real, where Buddhism really focuses its attention, on the person who passes away. Because if you grieve, most people will get over it. But if you die, well, you don't get over that. It's non-negotiable, and it's monumentous. So preparation for death. It's important to think about the death of others, loss, and so on. Most important is to be prepared yourself to surf the waves, to transition gracefully. So when you die, you're prepared for it. You're alert. You're not caught off guard by your own mind, really, because your mind will lead you. If your mind is set in a bad way, it will lead you in a bad way. Do you know all what's in your mind? Do you know how what your mind is like? This is what meditation helps. Much of what we would see when we pass away comes up when we meditate. So when you are in the present moment, your mind starts to bring up all the things that it's been holding on to, that have been bouncing around inside. So bad deeds we've done, bad things that have happened to us, anything that we're still holding on to, the kind of things that would flash before our eyes when we die. And they do that because of the concentration involved. Well, when you meditate, there's the same sort of concentration and just general awareness. And so you'll see these sorts of things come up. Anything you are holding on to, anything you feel guilty about or feel angry about, anything you're attached to. And it's a chance to purify all of this, and to become less clingy, less dependent, to be able to fly, to be able to surf the waves and not drown in the flood. Anyway, the one interesting thing today was that the idea that to practice mindfulness of death, all you have to do is sit there and say, death, death, maranang, maranang. That's a valid meditation practice according to the Visuddhimagga. So go ahead, you can all try it. Anyway, any questions?
That's the recollection of death. That's recommended for the hindrance of sleepiness, right? The
Of what?
sloth. Recommended to try to overcome the hindrance of sloth and torpor, sleepiness.
Right. Laziness, lack of initiative, lack of encouragement.
That makes sense. You ready for a question, Bande?
Sure.
Venerable Sir, what is the main meaning of appamada discipline?
Appamada means non-intoxication. It's a state of having a clear mind, sober mind. Basically means to have mindfulness. Appamada isn't a real thing. It's just a conventional term. It's a characteristic of a mindful state.
Why are we able to pacify the mind by observing our thoughts and feelings?
Not just by observing them, but by becoming objective about them. By reminding ourselves it's just a feeling, it's just that. Because the unpacified mind is the mind that is reacting, the mind that is making connections, getting into loops that feed back and get bigger and bigger and more stressful. Mindfulness cuts off the chain and keeps us from becoming overwhelmed. Pacifies because there's no continuation. The Buddha was very clear on this. Ditte ditta matang bhavisati, let seeing just be seeing. Then there's no attachment. There's no idea of me, mine, etc. Na nimitta gahi nanubhayanjana gahi. Be someone who doesn't grasp at particulars or characteristics of the object. This is the direction that the Buddha gave. Don't get into the details. Just see things simply as they are. Very simple, basic. And it keeps you from reacting. Keeps you from getting caught up.
There was an old question from the Google moderator that we never got to. And I always hoped that we did because I was wondering about the answer. And it was somebody that had asked, when people listened to the Buddha and if they were being mindful and just noting, hearing, how would they have actually heard what he said?
It actually is possible. I mean, the noting isn't all the time, and When you note hearing, you actually can still get. It's interrupted by the processing, but it's so very quick. We don't take nearly as long to process as we think. Getting the meaning is still possible.
So you're kind of going back and forth very quickly.
Yeah, the mind does that anyway.
Mm.
But you won't process it very much. You won't need to. Even if you're acknowledging hearing, you're already on the right path. What more do you need to hear?
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought, but never really sure when I'm noting seeing, but actually seeing something if I'm doing it wrong. But you can kind of go back and forth. That makes sense. Speaking of death, how might you recommend one carry out the corpse meditations, considering that charnel grounds and such are not readily available in the modern world?
Well, you can get pictures, or you can go to the morgue.
Do they actually let people into the morgue too?
They do in Sri Lanka.
Do they?
You can do it at funerals. Go look at the dead body at the funeral.
But they really kind of pretty them up at the funerals. They've got makeup on and
Yeah, but dead is dead. It's just seeing a dead body. It can shake people up. It can be useful. And if you meditate on it for a while, it can be helpful. I don't know. I mean, I don't recommend carrying out corpse meditation myself, so to find someone who does. So in a couple of days, we're officially moving to the new location. But I guess I'll still be staying here until the 8th, when we can actually get internet. The 8th, I think, is also the first day of classes, so I'll be back at school. Oh no, what is I don't remember what the first day of class is, but the 8th, the 9th, I think, is this Clubs Fest, that we're going to have a table, and we're going to try to convert as many people as we can to Buddhism. Sign them up. We're going to have a clipboard to get people's emails, that kind of thing. And plan to have a meeting. All right, we had some ideas to hold monthly talks, and the question was whether they would be academic talks or whether they would be spiritual, practical talks. And so we thought maybe we'd do both. We could do one series of academic lectures on Buddhism and one series of practical teachings on how to practice Buddhist teaching. It's hard because everyone's so busy. Even the people running it are far more focused on their studies, I think. So, well, we'll see. Just gonna hope to meet some people and have a chance to share the Dhamma.
Are you taking classes on Buddhism?
See, I wasn't, but I was just thinking now. I have no reason at all really to take German. Yes, it'd be nice to learn some German, but honestly, it's not really, I don't know, justified. So I was thinking I'll go back to taking there was just something on Jesus. Am I justified? Is that more justified? I don't know. To get my degree, I think I need some various religious, I need a certain number of religion classes, so. Anyway, maybe we'll stop there. So thank you all for checking in, having this nightly little chat. Maybe there'll be more to it when we're actually settled down. Maybe we'll have a live audience here as well, and we can talk with them live as well.
That'll be nice.
Okay. Well, good night then.
Thank you, Bante. Good night.
See you all tomorrow.